Hey guys, sorry I could not be here in class today, but I wanted to be able to go over your review with you. So, if you get that out, and I'm just going to go through each problem. So, if you didn't have questions on one, I'm sorry. I don't actually, I assume you can fast forward, but maybe not. All right, so number one, find the slope of the line described by -2 plus 5y equals 20. And I put this information here. Remember that -a over b can be used to find slope in this form. When you have, oops, I started right, slope intercept, sorry. When you have standard form, that is ax plus by equals c, if you think about this, if I want to change this to slope intercept form, okay, so I do want it to have y all by itself. Remember, I would subtract this x term. I'd have by equals -ax plus c. And I have to divide everything over here by b. So I get y equals -a over b x plus c over b. And if you take a look at this, the c over b, like this is essentially slope-intercept form, right? Y equals mx plus b, where your m is -a over b and your b is c over b. The c over b doesn't really matter. But what I want to do here is prove why when you have standard form, this is all, your slope is always going to be -a over b. If you remember that, it's a quick way to do it. If you don't, I'm not super worried about it because you can always convert this right here to slope-intercept form to find your slope. But we'll do it both ways. So if I do -a over b, my a is -2, so that's negative of -2. And then my b is 5. So it's +2 over 5. So you can do it that way. Or if you have -2x plus 5y equals 20, if I add 2x to both sides, I have 5y equals 2x plus 20. And then I divide by 5. I'm sorry, -2. Yeah, so it should be, sorry. I don't know what I'm doing here. So I divide by 5, divide by 5. So I have y equals 2/5 x plus 20 over 5 is 4. So either way, you find the slope of 2/5. All right. Number 2 is much easier and faster. Graph the line with slope of -1/2 and y-intercept of 2. Go to 0, 2, that's y-intercept. Slope of -1/2. So go down 1 over 2, down 1 over 2, down 1 over 2. Could also go up 1 to left 2, up 1 to left 2, up 1 to left 2, like that. And draw your line. My lines are much straighter on the paper than they are on the board, but they still, as you can see, do not go through every point. Oh, well. All right, write the equation of the line with a slope of 3/4 and a y-intercept of 3 in slope-intercept form. Again, y equals mx plus b. Pay super close attention on the test tomorrow to what form you're supposed to leave this in. And if it doesn't specifically say, then it's going to be slope-intercept form, but most of them will specifically say. So I need a slope and I need a y-intercept. Well, they've given both of those to me. This is like the easiest way to do this. Y equals 3/4 x plus 3. Done. All right, write the equation that describes line in slope-intercept form. So here I'm given a slope and a point. So I can't write it in slope-intercept form right away. I have to take a walk through point-slope form first, which, as you should recall, is y minus y1 equals m times x minus x1. This is my m, this is my x1, that's my y1. So y minus 2 equals 2 times x minus -1. So y minus 2 equals 2 times x plus 1. And then remember, to get this into slope-intercept form, I distribute my 2. So I have y minus 2 equals 2x plus 2. And then I have to get rid of this 2 with y. So I'm going to add 2 to both sides. And I will get y equals 2x plus 4. All right. Almost done with page 1. Write the equation, negative 3x plus 4y equals 8 in slope-intercept form. So this is currently in standard form, and I have to change it to slope-intercept form, so y equals mx plus b. So I have negative 3x plus 4y equals 8. Remember, to change this to slope-intercept form, I need to first get rid of this x and throw it over to the right side here. So plus 3x plus 3x. And remember to write it with your x term first and then your b over here. So I have 4y equals 3x plus 8. Then I have to divide everything by 4. So y is by itself. I have y equals 3/4 x plus 8 over 4 is 2. So I graphed this now. You also could have graphed it because you could have just done the cover-up method here, like cover up x cell for y, cover up y cell for x. But anyway, doesn't matter. It needed it in slope-intercept form anyway. So go to 0, 2, and go up 3 over 1, 2, 3, 4, and then down 3 and to the left 4. Draw your line. And there we go. Okay, next page. So number 6, excuse me, the water level of a river is 34 feet and is receding at a rate of 0.5 of half a foot per day. Write an equation that represents water level W after D days. Identify a slope and y-intercept and describe their meanings and how many days will the water level be 26 feet. Okay, we have several things on here. First of all, they say W and D. I'm, y and X. But so if it's receding, that means you're going to subtract, right? So you're going to have a negative slope here. So essentially your y-intercept, your B, is 34 feet. Your slope is 0.5 feet, but negative 0.5 feet because it's receding. So your equation is y equals negative 0.5x plus 34. If you do want to do this in W and D, it would be W equals negative 0.5 D plus 34 because it's per day. So identify slope and the y-intercept, describe their meanings. Well, the slope, like we said, is negative 0.5 feet. That is what the water level is receding every day. Y-intercept is 34 feet. That's where it started. In how many days will the water level be 26 feet? All right, so your y is your water level. So you're not, I think the mistake that people will make here accidentally is they might put 26 in for x, but that would be after 26 days. And I don't know, like that's not what they want here. They want the water level of 26 feet. So you're going to plug that in for y. So 26 equals negative 0.5x plus 34. And then you're going to subtract 34 from both sides. So it goes away here. And over here you have negative 8. So you have negative 8 equals negative 0.5x. You divide both sides by negative 0.5. You should get x equals 16. So 16 days, after 16 days, the water level will be 26 feet from 34 feet. All right, number 7, graph the line of the slope of 1 that contains a point 36. So go to the point 36, and your slope of 1 means you go up 1 to the right 1 or down 1 to the left 1. So there's your line. All right, now we just have a whole bunch of equations to write. So write an equation in point slope form for the line that has a slope of 5 over 4 and contains the point 9, negative 3. So point slope form is where I want to end here, which is kind of nice because that's the least amount of work. So point slope, remember, is y minus y1 equals m times x minus x1. So here's my m, here's my x1, here's my y1. So y minus y1, which is negative 3, equals m, which is 5 over 4, times x minus x1, which is 9, The only simplification I would do here is this minus minus. So turn that into a plus. So y plus 3 equals 5 over 4 times x minus 9. All right, next one is also point slope form. Yippee. So slope of 5/3, that's my m, and contains the point 6, 7. So 6 is my x1, 7 is my y1. Y minus y1, which is 7, equals m, which is 5 over 3 times x minus x1, which is 6. All right. Write an equation in slope-intercept form of the line with a slope of 4 that contains a point 2, -5. So slope-intercept form, that means I'm going to want y equals mx plus b. And they've given me a slope, which is cool, but they have not given me the y-intercept. They've given me a point. So if I'm given a slope and a point, I need to start in point-slope form. So again, this is my m, this is my x1, that's my y1. So y minus y1, which is -5, equals -4 times x minus 2. Change minus minus to plus. So y plus 5 equals -4 times x minus 2. Distribute that -4. So you have y plus 5 equals -4x plus 8. And then I'm going to want to get rid of this 5. So I'm going to subtract it from both sides. And y equals -4x plus 3. All right. This next one gets a little crazy because the numbers aren't super nice. So write an equation, slope-intercept form. So again, y equals mx plus b for the line that passes through 8, 2, and 3, 9. So in this one, I neither have a slope nor do I have a y-intercept. So I'm going to have to first find my slope. So remember, slope formula is y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. So 9 minus 2 for my y's over 3 minus 8 for my x's. So 9 minus 2 is 7. 3 minus 8 is -5. I will be honest with you, at this point, because you're going to have to do some like distributing and multiplying, distributing is multiplying. I might change that to a decimal right this second. So of course, all you do is do -7 divided by 5. Boom, you get -1.4. So let's use that for a slope instead, just because with a calculator it might be easier. I mean, certainly you can just put fractions in your calculator, or when you multiply by -7 over 5, end up just with whatever the, like something over 5, or multiply everything by a denominator, but regardless, this might be a little bit easier. All right, so here's my slope. And then with this, you can use either point. It does not matter. I'm going to use 3, 9 as my point. So I'm going to use a slope of -1.4, an x1 of 3, and a y1 of 9. And again, you totally could have used 8, 2. You'll get the same answer as long as you do the math correctly. But I just chose 3, 9. So I have point slope form first. Y minus y1, which is 9, equals m, which is -1.4 times x minus 3. Distribute your -1.4. So you will have y minus 9 equals -1.4x plus 4.2. And then you're going to add 9 to both sides. You have y equals -1/4 x plus 13.2. So if you did this in fractions, so if you just did -7 over 5, what you had ended up with is y equals -7/5 x plus 66 over 5. And on your test, I don't know if it'll be fractions or decimals, but remember, if you have a fraction or if you need something into a fraction, so you can put 13.2 and then hit math and then enter, it'll turn it into a fraction, give you 66 over 5. So that's a good way to see, like if they did give it to you in this form, you could check to where your decimals were to make sure you have the same thing. All right. Last page. A linear function with the same y-intercept as x plus 5y equals 10, and its graph contains 0.104. Find the y-intercept and slope of the linear function. Okay. So I would get this in slope-intercept form, this one right here, so you can see what the y-intercept is. So I have x plus 5y equals 10, so I'm going to want to subtract x from both sides. I have 5y equals negative x plus 10. Then I would divide both sides by 5. And I would end up with y equals negative 1/5 x plus 10 over 5, of course, is 2. And this as a linear function has the same y-intercept as this. So the y-intercept here is 2. And its graph contains the point 10,4. Find the y-intercept and slope of the linear function. Okay, so the y-intercept, of course, is 2. We already have that. And to find the slope, you need 2 points. So you have the point 10,4. And you're like, well, I don't have another point. Well, yeah, you do, because anytime you have the y-intercept, that is the point 0, whatever your intercept is. So 0, 2. So now you just have to find the slope. So y2 minus y1, 2 minus 4 over x2 minus x1, which is 0 minus 10. Remember to do those in the right order. 2 minus 4 is negative 2. 0 minus 10 is negative 10. Negative over negative is positive. 2 over 10 is 1/5. So I don't believe you have to write, no, you don't have to write it in slope-intercept form. You just needed the slope and the y-intercept. So your answer here would be your slope is 1/5 and your y-intercept is 2. If you do have to write it in slope-intercept form, it's y equals 1/5 x plus 2. All right, 13, 14, 15, that's what we did in class on Friday. So parallel perpendicular lines. Equation of 4 lines are given. Identify which lines are parallel to each other. So really what you need all of these in the same form so you can see the slope. Because remember, parallel, we're looking at same slope. So the easiest way to see that is in y equals mx plus b. And all of these numbers need to be the same. So I'm going to see if I can't get all of these into y equals mx plus b. So y equals 2x plus 7, of course, is already there. So that slope is 2. X minus 1/7 y is negative 6. To do some work there. X minus 1/7 y equals negative 6. So I'm going to subtract x from both sides. So you have negative 1/7 y equals negative x minus 6. And if you recall, dividing by a fraction is the same thing as multiplying by its reciprocal. So really, we're going to multiply both sides by negative 7. So it'll go away over here. And here, I will have negative times negative is positive. Dividing by 1/7 is multiplying by 7. So I have y equals 7x. And then negative 10, or negative divided by negative here is going to be a positive, and 6 times 7 will be 42. So y equals 7x plus 42. So your slope here is 7. So clearly those aren't parallel to each other, but we have to do the rest of this and see. Y equals 7x minus 7. Well, that's in slope-intercept form. And that slope is 7. So these two lines are parallel to each other. And then I have y plus 3 equals 1/2 x minus 6. And this one, I suppose you don't have to get into slope-intercept form because you have it in point slope form, and you can see that that's your slope. So your slope here is 1/2. If you wanted to, you still could have done that. by distributing this 1/2. So you'd have y plus 3 equals 1/2 times x minus 3, and then subtract 3. So you'd have y equals 1/2 x minus 6. But regardless, you still have that it's 1/2. So 2 and 1/2 are clearly not the same, but 7 and 7 are. So line 2 is parallel to line 3. All right. Now 14 says identify the lines that are perpendicular. Okay, well, perpendicular means we have opposite sign reciprocal. Just so you recall, if like a slope was 3, a parallel one would be -1, or I'm sorry, perpendicular would be -1/3. Okay, opposite sign, reciprocal. All right, so we have y equals 2, y equals -1/2 x plus 1, x equals -5, and y minus 3 equals 2x plus 5. All right, well, y equals 2. That is in slope-intercept form. 2 is my y-intercept. I don't have an x term, which means that it was canceled out by multiplying it by 0. So it's 0x plus 2, so my slope is 0. With this one, it is in slope-intercept form, so it's y equals -1/2 x plus 1, and my slope is -1/2. For x equals -5, I can't say it's in slope-intercept form because it's not, but the x equals -5 would be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. It would be a vertical line going through at 5. So this slope is undefined. And any time that you have x equals a number and that's your entire equation, your slope is undefined, because it's always that vertical line, which has an undefined slope. And remember from that chart we did that a zero slope and an undefined slope are perpendicular to each other, because this would be a horizontal line at 2. All right, and then this last one. So you have y minus 3 equals 2 times x plus 10. Add 3 to both sides, and you have y equals 2x plus 13. So your slope here is 2. All right, so a zero slope and an undefined slope are perpendicular to each other. So I'm going to like label these A, B, C, D, just so it's easier. So A is perpendicular to D. Oh my gosh, no, it's not. I'm sorry. A is perpendicular to C. My bad. And I have a slope here of -1/2 and a slope here of 2. And so those are opposite sign reciprocals. So that was line B, which is perpendicular to line D. So 2 sets of perpendicular lines there. All right, last one. Yeah, really, thank goodness. Okay. So write an equation slope-intercept form for the line parallel to y equals -3x plus 5 and pass through the point 5, 5. All right, parallel means same slope. And if I look at y equals -3x plus 5, of course, my slope is -3. So I need to write an equation with a slope of -3, and then this point 5, 5. So point slope form. So x1 is 5, and of course, y1 is also 5. I need it finally in slope intercept form, but I have to pass through point slope form first. So y minus 5 equals -3 times x minus 5. Y minus 5 equals -3x plus 15. Then I'm going to add 5 to both sides. And I get y equals -3x plus 20. And we are done. Yay. That took a long time. Okay. So you do still have your test tomorrow, because, I went through this whole thing. If you do have questions on this, my suggestion, strong suggestion would be to come into FIT tomorrow and ask me, certainly. And then the rest of whatever you have to do is just a Delta Math review. So make sure you get that done in class today. I'm sorry about Kahoot. I actually did have it made and then found out that I can't be here. So it's hard to play Kahoot without me. But yeah, so we'll play Kahoot some other time. All right. Like I said, questions if you have any, come into FIT Tuesday. And that is it. Be good for the sub. Okay. I'm going to sign off if I know how to do that. All right. And goodbye.